Okay, welcome to 2024 GGM Lightspeed. Max is not here today, so I'm going to be taking the reins for this one and guiding us through today's debates. And we have two new debaters for this one, both for our mods in the Multiverses server. So we've got Aqua
Hello, hello, hello.
and Narrow.
Yoinka.
Okay,
Wow.
so
Happy New Year, everyone.
So jumping into this, we have our first suggestion from it's just W. W? Yeah, it's just W. Okay. For All Might versus Captain America versus Superman versus Homelander. With clowns being such a common target for people's fears, the marketing team at McDonald's decides they need to change in who's the face of their brand, thus forcing Ronald into retirement. So, clowns are out. But you know what's in? Superheroes. After going through a long line of candidates, these four stand atop the list for consideration. The question remains, however, which one is McDonald's loving enough to make their next spokesperson? So, I'm gonna be going for All Might.
Yep, I'm going for Cap.
I will
going
be
for
going for
Superman.
the winner, Homelander.
No, that's
Nah,
wrong. I'm
we'll
going for the
see.
winner.
Okay. All Might's first, so I guess I'll start. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't expecting to do this one today, so I apologize if it's a little short or haphazardly put together, but I do sincerely think All Might has a really good shot in this scenario. I know that in DC and in Marvel, the characters, the superhero stories are sold as comic merchandise, as like works of non-fiction, and I know that there probably are instances of them being used in the canon as merchandise, like people rocking Superman or Captain America t-shirts. But I think generally speaking, All Might is a lot more marketable in the fiction. Like Midoriya literally has an entire room filled with a bunch of different All Might merch, like posters, action figures. It also helps that he is the number one hero in Japan. Superman and Captain America and Homelander are obviously very big heroes, but Homelander is the only other character here who is considered number one, and even then, that's challenged. I think if they're gonna go for a more broad global appeal, All Might would be an enticing choice because he's a hero from Japan. So I think tapping more of that international market, whereas naturally Captain America, Superman, and Homelander are much more American centric characters, I think would be pretty beneficial for McDonald's. I mean, and just generally speaking, I think All Might looks the part the most as a McDonald's mascot. He's like forever smiling, got the big smile like McDonald's. His hair literally looks like giant French fries, so he's already repping the big golden arches on his head. So, I mean, just generally speaking, Toshinori, generally very easy guy to work with. He's caught up in canon with a lot less controversy than Captain America, less so Superman, but especially Homelander. Well, they generally are beloved characters, or not Homelander. Captain America and Superman are generally beloved characters in the fiction, but they'd have been in different controversial scandals or have had to like make controversial opinions that they're not always on the up and up in terms of public perception. I think generally speaking, Superman might be against endorsing like super unhealthy foods. Captain America himself, I'm not sure if it's public knowledge that his power came from a super serum, but I don't think that would bode well with already a lot of the negativity surrounding like the overly processed foods in McDonald's. I think Homelander speaks for himself. He's the only character here who has like crumbled in terms of well, he's the only one here putting up a facade, really. All the other three are generally nice people, but Homelander is properly putting up a facade, and he's the only one that I actually see putting McDonald's PR into jeopardy. But yeah, I think generally All Might has a lot of good points going for him. So next is Captain America.
Right. Okay, so we all know who Captain America is, Mr. First Avenger, literally led the charge for one of the most popular superhero teams ever for a while. And that is kind of a big deal, because, like, well, first of all, I guess I'll say Cap is probably no stranger to publicity like this, because, like, when he was first created to instead of, like, actually fighting Nazis, he was just, like, put up as a poster boy for U.S. military. So this would not be his first rodeo in terms of marketing. Second of all, he's opposed to Nazis, which is pretty based if you ask me. So that's another point in his favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely help. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
It's hard to say that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, okay. So the main point here is just I think Captain America would probably be right up there with Superman as far as like the most recognizable mascot they could have. Like, sure, All Might, he's number one in Japan, but I don't know if that applies internationally. Like, I don't know much about My Hero, so I don't know if he's like popular anywhere else. I just know he's number one in Japan, which is good, but this is an American company we're talking about at the end of the day. And you know, the guy literally has America in his name, so I think it stands to reason they're probably going to prioritize someone who's closer to home. And yeah, I mean, also dealing with, like, if he's becoming the mascot, like, the scenario states that Ronald's in retirement, which means, like, he's real and all the McDonald land stuff is as well. In which case, I feel like Cap would be able to adjust pretty well to that, to all the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald, because, like, you know, he's already seen Mad Titans, gods, magic users, all sorts of wild crap. So this magical clown world where chicken McNuggets are sentient and talking, that's not going to faze him at all. And yeah, basically what Brandon already said for Superman, I think pretty much covers why I don't think he'd probably be the least willing to do this out of anyone, just because, well, first of all, he's Superman. He can't really be going out doing a public thing like this. Not when, you know, he's already got everyone on his back trying to get a piece of him, like Lex Luthor, Darkseid, all that. And Homelander, yeah. Just yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
all in all, I
Yeah.
think Captain America is going to throw his mighty shield and deliver those McDonald burgers right to the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a horrible sentence.
Yeah.
Great.
That's your pitch.
I'm glad you salvaged that sentence. That
You
could have
let-
been really bad.
You landed it.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very
Let's
much.
see what Superman's got.
Okay. So I think that out of the four here, I think that Cap and All Might certainly have a good chance of being good spokespersons and mascots for McDonald's. Homelander is also there, but I think Superman is easily the most capable and has the most positives going for him as to the strengths that he brings to the table. Adam kind of already brought this point up where Superman would have to be juggling like mascot duties and spokesman duties between all of his hero work. If anything, I'd say he's the most qualified to do that because, like, part of Superman's whole toolkit is that he's incredibly fast. And that's not just with his movement speed. His perception is incredibly fast. He can think really fast. And so I think out of all of the people here, he'd most easily be able to, like, zip from one place, like filming a commercial, and then fly off to Metropolis or something to beat up Lex for a while, and then immediately fly back to keep going with McDonald's duties. I don't think anyone else here would be able to do that as easily or as efficiently as him. And then on another point, I think Superman would be the most able to gather like feedback from McDonald's customers thanks to his super hearing. Like he'd be able to listen to thousands of McDonald's across America, nay, not America, even the world. He'd be able to listen to all of the customers, hear what they want, and deliver that information to the McDonald's higher ups so they'd be able to most easily market to all the people around the world and adjust their menu to what the customers want to eat. And speaking of what the customers want to eat, I know that the point of like global appeal has been brought up a couple of times. Superman is the only combatant in this scenario who would be able to bring McDonald's past Earth and into the greater cosmos. He'd be able to spread like McDonald's stores to like the Green Lantern Corps and like to other alien planets out there in the DC universe. Like none of the other combatants in this scenario come close to being able to spread McDonald's and the brand as far as Superman could in this scenario. And I think that I don't know if I would necessarily say he's the most human. I'd say Cap has him like pretty closely tied there, but he's certainly one of the more relatable combatants in this scenario. Part of Superman's whole appeal is that he's just kind of a perfect Boy Scout. And yeah, he'd certainly be very appealing to the broader masses as compared to like this guy from the 40s who represents a country that is not always in the best graces as far as the greater global population is concerned. Homelander kind of speaks for himself, like we've said before. And if we're talking recent My Hero, All Might is kind of like past his prime to the point where he can't really take on his more recognizable buffed up form anymore. Like, as far as I remember, I haven't kept up with My Hero as much recently, but I just remember that he has like an Iron Man suit or something that he puts on to fight bad guys with. I don't think that his withered Toshinori form would be as recognizable or as marketable.
Why do you say it like it's a
So,
FNAF
yeah,
character?
Five Nights at UA.
Shut up.
But yeah, those are generally my points for why I think Superman would be the best McDonald's mascot far and away.
Very fair. Okay. Very curious to see what you've got for Homelander, Butter. I already have
Alright.
so much respect for you jumping the shark for him. Let's see what you got.
Now, at first, I was going to do some kind of little bit, but like the more I thought about it, I did want to bring in some genuine points. I don't think, like, yes, Superman, Captain America, and All Might could actually be good representations for McDonald's. But the problem is, I don't think any of them want to do it, let alone have the time. Yeah, yes, GA does bring up, like, Superman being extremely fast, high perception, but honestly, between saving the planet from Darkseid and the absolute heavy hitters that exist in that universe, he's just gonna be constantly more concerned about that over being a McDonald's representative. On top of that, Superman, I think what put Homelander ahead of all of them is the fact that Homelander has less morals, which means he's going to care a lot less about feeding people unhealthy food. Superman absolutely recognizes the importance of his symbol, and that if he's representing fast food that's extremely unhealthy, that he's gonna, that's gonna put the country in a bad state. And this as for Captain America and All Might to a lesser degree. All Might, I think, has the worst of it, because his form, from just the start of the show, I saw that All Might could only turn into his form like once a day. So, and he really had to push it to even turn back into it. So I don't think he's going to even want to waste his time doing that, because it's both promoting unhealthy food, and it's also taking away time that he could be using this form to actually be saving people's lives. And so the same thing, American food, Homelander #1, he has the same, virtually any representation that Captain America would have, Homelander would also have. I also feel that Homelander is way more PR aware in terms of the comics. Because like when you look at the comics, it's more superhero stuff, where Homelander does actually have PR and new stuff that he has to worry about. He has to like make his symbol, make time to like take selfies with people. technically, yeah, Superman has done that in some comics. That's a lot more of a mainstay to Homelander. And that's ultimately what I think that really helps him, is both just the morality, the time, and the fact that he's kind of more fit for it.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
then.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah, fair. I will touch on one thing that was brought up for All Might. The just to clarify, he is like the #1 hero worldwide. He does go to America in One's Justice, the movie. So he's just a global phenomenon.
Yeah, in the
I
first
see.
movie, it's established that like in his early hero days, he did like intern work. I think it was in America, like California specifically, I believe.
That's why all the smashes are named after the states.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he's also repping America just like Cap.
Right.
So,
Definitely.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that Cap is the person I would put last here because like I said, I feel like the time crunch on top of like the Marvel and DC having much bigger threats is going to mean that ironically means Homelander has less to worry about because he doesn't have many people that are actually threats to him. So the crimes that he has to deal with is far less time consuming.
Threats to him physically or reputationally?
I'm talking about physically. I'm just talking about like crimes and stuff. Like Cap has to fight people that are genuine threats, and there are a lot of them. There is not just Red Skull, there's just like being a part of the Avengers. He's got to face things like Ultron and all that a lot more, where Homelander just has less threats to be worried about. PR-wise, yeah, but also I think that shows a lot more aware and concentrates on the PR of stuff. And that's what I kind of think would help him out there.
Sorry, I heard Nero
go
said he
ahead.
had a point for Superman. I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so like everyone like keeps saying that Superman wouldn't be down for something like this, but like in Superman versus the Elite, he's like okay with lending his name and brand to like different like companies and shit, and like in the movie we've seen it shows that he lent his name out to like make it like a small cartoon, and he literally lent his like name to like this random like car dealership in the middle of nowhere. So I think he'd be cool with like being a PR guy for McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Actually, I
Superman
don't think so.
Superman
No,
has a
those are
bias for
Superman.
Big Belly Burger.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he
yeah.
has certain biases. But the thing is, the reason why he sent those like his name and reputation to smaller companies is because they're small companies. His name being there will improve their businesses. That's just kind of how he works. Like
Also,
this clip here. Hold on, where is it?
Oh,
The
okay.
clip in with when Shazam endorses Lex Luthor, Superman explicitly says that like they don't sell out to big businesses or anything like that.
Well, I mean,
Like
that's
Superman will
Luthor,
enjoy like a
though.
burger, but the thing is, Superman will enjoy. He can enjoy like burgers and stuff, but he won't put his name and symbol to it. At least to a bunch of big businesses he feels don't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think McDonald's is a company that is deserving of Superman's.
I will
reputation.
say I thought it was
Yeah.
a really cool point that I had never even considered of him giving McDonald's like a universal appeal, but I imagine that's just a logistics nightmare for marketing wise.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
why
for
not?
America,
McDonald's on the
Superman is-
moon.
Superman is going to be the only one capable of that. McDonald's itself is not going to be able to handle being universe-wide.
Yeah,
Humanity
I don't think
is.
they have the capacity for like expanding their resources that
No.
far.
Now, personally,
Especially
when I debated for All Might, I went in with the intention that we were using him at his prime. I guess if we do use All Might on his deathbed, well, I guess there really isn't much he can do.
I think that it'd be fair to use him in his prime because that, like, it seems wrong to put him at his worst when realistically.
It's not
that's fair,
exactly use
yeah.
with it all my.
I still think
All right.
to a degree, I still think that the point stands that like since that form does still have like an eventual time limit, he would be a lot less inclined to want to be spending the time in that form representing this unhealthy food
I mean,
against.
the thing is, that would only really come as a detriment when All Might has to make any public appearances, which seems fine. If we're using him at his prime, he's only able that type of restraint of he's only able to use it once a day comes when he's specifically in combat. All Might has been able to make public appearances in like the buff muscular form, pretty much no problem as long as he's not physically exerting himself. I just think that like I feel like he's just super synergistic with the look of McDonald's and is just the most like in tune with marketing because there's just so much All Might memorabilia in My Hero already.
He does.
Right.
He does like
Also,
show off
I-
like the festivals. He's the one like gives out like all the exception awards for
For the tournament.
yeah for the tournament and the school. For some reason I'm forgetting the name of the school. UA.
Yeah. Also, I
That's
did
right.
Strangely enough,
remember
I
a
think
point
Superman
for-
gets last actually.
Homelander though. I don't know.
No, I think
I-
Homelander has enough PR skills, and there's a lot of people that even if he does run into like a PR scandal being like racist or killing somebody, there are people that just won't give a shit about that sort of thing. Like we have real life examples to look at for people not giving a shit about people being off the wall. But even then with
Yeah,
Superman, like what does Superman have to gain from this? Like he doesn't need sponsor money. He has Batman. He doesn't need worldwide appeal. He's part of the Justice League. And he typically only supports small businesses anyways. And he'll enjoy a big burger or like big business things every once in a while. But that's not his modus operandi. The thing with All Might is that he has a bunch of merchandise so he can expand his appeal past Japan. Captain America, at the very least, we've seen the Avengers movie. I mean, I guess same thing with Superman, but it's like a close last with Cap.
Mhm.
But at least with Cap, he has more street level appeal, and he has more broader appeal within America. So I'm not sure. Like,
Yeah. And speaking of Cap,
was-
I actually did remember a point for him that I wanted to talk to.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank. So this is Steve Rogers we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just remembered it's actually Sam who's Captain America now. I think Steve is. I don't know if he's retired or what, but he's not actually like. I don't think he's actually getting involved with superhero stuff now. So if time is a matter, that's actually. He actually does have the time to do this now.
I don't know
I
if he would
also-
necessarily be comfortable picking up like the title of Cap just to represent McDonald's. Like I think it's pretty clear to anyone who looks at like media where Cap hands off the mantle to Sam that like the title of Captain America means a lot more to Steve than just like something to be bought and sold for marketing purposes. I don't know if in that scenario, just because he has the time,
Also-
he'd be willing to take the title.
I
up
mean, that
again.
McDonald's money.
Let's
you gotta be-
if we're gonna use the films, let's remember when Captain America was basically a fugitive. The type of marketing he did was making terrible gym movies so you got detention, like C-lister school videos. Even when All Might's title at the top was waning and like Endeavor became hero number one, he still had plenty of like lucrative and rare merch that Midoriya kept trying to get despite knowing the guy.
I think
Just
wasn't
from-
that stuff for
just-
Cap pre-recorded, and they kind of just showed it because it was all they had. I don't think Cap was doing much in terms of merchandise and.
Well, that's
Sure.
more point towards All
Yeah,
Might.
he is kind of like the least merchandise
Yeah.
in the universe of.
I honestly
the
think
universe.
Homelander has. I think Homelander's either first or second here. I
would
think
say
Homelander's
I don't know,
PR
'cause,
knowledge
like-
is just way too good. That's like the
Yeah,
whole
I'll-
thing of the boys is that Homelander's PR is just that fucking cracked.
He's the one with the
I
most
also-
good game.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I'm actually gonna. I have a point
Yeah.
against Homelander from. I don't think Homelander will endorse fast food. There's a scene where A-Train is like eating some Shake Shack, and he like is super angry because he thinks like the Seven being seen in public eating fast food or like A-Train getting fat is really diminishing towards their brand.
Ah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's
I do
just.
want to say
because-
I've been holding this point back because it's more of a Superman thing. It depends on if we're saying that Superman is trying, because in this one comic that Larry actually posted with Superman eating the burgers, this was not Superman trying to endorse them. It was just that people saw Superman eating it, and at the end of the comics, when Clark went back to go eat there, he couldn't eat there because the line was so unbelievably long, just because they saw Superman eating a burger there. So if Superman tries, I do think that Superman just wins. Because
Yeah, Superman tried, but the thing is, I don't think he would want to try. He has
Well-
he has literally 0 to gain.
What were your thoughts on Homelander, Biff?
I was saying, like Vought in the show, Vought is a company that has a lot of these like not especially healthy foods. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure they've got fast food places. It's just a case of Homelander was upset at A-Train specifically because he was like indulging himself so often, and he had stopped like running, and like basically had it was making the rest of the Seven look bad by just kind of slacking on his job.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like there is some truth to that bleeding into if Homelander were to become the face of McDonald's.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'd say Homelander has the most to gain from it, and he has the least morals to like be. It's more of the. I think it's morality of if All Might's willing to do it and also putting the time into it, versus if Homelander screws up.
It's fundraising for the
Because-
school. I don't think there's any downside. He's a public face for a
Yeah.
lot of
I think with how
Splintering
global
brands.
McDonald's is as well, it would help promote the symbol of peace image even further. I think that's probably good motivation for All Might to try in this.
Honestly, getting I'm happy with getting second on this. I thought
Okay,
I
so
was getting
we're-
last.
Action.
we're
I'm
standing
fine
with.
with I'm fine with saying All Might wins.
Okay.
Yeah, I say All Might.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
You sold me the
Have the most
second you
going
said
for
that
him.
his hair looks like French fries.
just imagine
does
a
now,
poster
yeah.
where All Might says "Eat this" and he's holding out a French fry.
Oh my god!
Young man, eat this.
Eat
Alright,
this,
let's-
young
edit
Midori.
that later.
let's find the next one. Okay, I already found it. So the thumbnail and the scenario are separate. All right. So from Marzi Oz, we have Dr. Doofenshmirtz versus Mandark, and the scenario is Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa have commissioned these two to make an evil Megazord. Who will be the most effective at fighting the Power Rangers? So we've got who's going for who?
I'm going for Doof.
I'll be going for Mandark.
All right. Well, Dr. Doof is first, so let's go, Aqua.
Okay, so Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz is not someone to underestimate when it comes to creating some crazy Innators. If you combine them into a giant Zord that could fight the Power Rangers, he'd have so many abilities to keep up with that it'd be practically disorienting. He could mind control the Power Rangers using his Yodelinator, trap them in invisible boxes, trap them in straitjackets, eat them alive with termites, cause pigeons to shit on them, or just simply blow them up with a gun, because Doof loves his guns. There's also a bunch of other Innators, like we got the Go Away Innator, the Super Claw Innator, Magnetism Magnifinator, a whole lot of Innators. There's too many. There's too many to list them all. All of these features would be crazy for the Power Rangers. Since, for the most part, as far as I know, Power Rangers haven't fought that many abilities at once, and if Doof has the time to combine them all into one single robot, that's just crazy for them. They have too much to deal with all at once. And it's not like Doof doesn't have experience fighting a wide assortment of crime fighters. Most importantly being Agent P, who has been outsmarted by Doof countless of times due to just simple traps. Taking down the Power Rangers really shouldn't be too difficult if he uses his smarts for once and actually uses all of these abilities at once. I mean, he worked with Red Skull and against the Avengers, for crying out loud. Even if he wasn't that huge into the battle, he created a lot of things, like, I believe it was like an Atominator or something, that would have been a threat to the Avengers and the Masters of Evil. In comparison, while Mandark has his pros, he's way less experienced than Doof and could be sabotaged, especially if Dee Dee somehow gets into the picture due to his weird obsession with her. Dee Dee has just blatantly destroyed everything Mandark has done on numerous occasions, and I could see Mandark getting told off by the Power Rangers in a way akin to his sister, in which Mandark would probably give up. That and him being typically blindsided by his rivalry with Dexter could lead to a lot more problems on his end. Overall, Doof has a better list of technology that can trip the Rangers up, is more experienced, and wouldn't be as easily discouraged. His name is Doof, and he says he wins this Lightspeed.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, not bad.
Very good.
Nice.
So I'm going for Mandoc here, and first and foremost, they are now working to create a giant robot to fight another giant robot. And when it comes to giant robots, that's literally just Mandoc's bread and butter. He's created this numerous humongous robots like the Mandoc bot, the XX10, the DD bot, the the cowboy robot, the Mandoc transformer, just like a bunch of just giant robots. He has like way more experience just dealing with making giant robots. Even some like just capable of like destroying meteors that threaten the Earth on numerous occasions. And and he's like obviously very comparable to Dexter in terms of intelligence. Even just outright outsmarting Dexter on numerous occasions, who made something akin to like a Voltron robot, where there were 5 smaller robots that combined into one giant robot, which is very similar, of course, to the Power Rangers robots combining into one giant one. Of course, in terms of like just like variety of terms of stuff, Mandoc also has plenty of different things like a shrink ray. He has access to time machines, and again, he's once again comparable to Dexter, who once created like an infinite power source, like a little infinite power that Mandoc even stole for himself at one point to like fuel his entire army of just giant robots. I think like just generally if you want like a giant robot, Mandoc is like generally like much more is the one you want to go for. Unlike Doof, who literally once created like, he created his fair share of robots. He once created an entire army of robots to take over the tri-state area, but they all had one flaw with the fact that there was a self-destruct button underneath their foot. So literally when they stepped forward, they all self-destructed themselves. And pretty much literally everything Doofenshmirtz makes literally has like a self-destruct button. He literally has an axinator, which is literally just an axe, and that has a self-destruct button on the back for some reason. And in another episode, in a somewhat similar case where Doof actually had to work for an even more evil person. He created a trap, had to create a cage for Perry, and literally inside that cage was a release button that allowed him to escape. So we already seen beforehand that he does not do good with working underneath other evildoers, and will actually just blatantly unintentionally sabotage them. And also, it helps the fact that it doesn't help that Doof is actually much more of a good guy than Mandoc. I actually don't see him actually fully going through with helping Weta to take over the entire world. Unlike Mandoc, who is more than willing to go along with world domination. And if you want to talk about people getting in his way, I think people like Dexter and Dee are far less likely to mess with him so long as he doesn't mess with them. Perry, the second Doof even does something remotely suspicious, Perry is going to be sent after him, and we already know how that's gonna go. With just how many times he's lost to Perry on numerous occasions. I feel like, so basically, like I said, I think Mandoc is just like generally a far more competent villain. Competent villain is a much more competent inventor. He's created just a bunch of robots that far more fit the likes of to go against the Power Rangers. He isn't self-sabotaging himself by putting self-destruct buttons on literally every single one of his machines. Lacks any moral, so he's much more willing to go through with this, and doesn't have as big of a thorn in his side like Doof does with Perry, which is why I think Mandoc takes it.
Alright.
Yeah, fair. 2 fair arguments for these characters.
Very good.
Who's made the larger robot? Who would you say between the two of them?
That would definitely, for me, that would definitely just be Mandark. He's literally created robots that just like can destroy meteors on several occasions.
Doof made one
I'd
that
actually
was
say
like similar size to the moon.
I'd actually say Doof might have the biggest one since he made a space station that was like really fucking huge. I'll put an image
Yeah.
in the chat.
Oh, was that
but
the one that lost to
it's
Huge
pretty
Han's
huge.
hands?
Yeah.
Huge hands.
Curse you, you.
I know that guy.
Question.
Question.
Are they going to be like piloting their giant robots against the Power Rangers? Like, I say this because if Doof fights the Power Rangers, he's gonna like tell them his sad baby backstory, and then they're just gonna kill him like while he's doing that.
I don't think that's true. The Power Rangers
I
also a
don't-
monologue.
Yeah.
I also want to
Yes,
defend
definitely.
Doof on a lot of those goof ups, like the leaving a way for Perry to escape his trap. It's been shown that Doof just does that on purpose. He wants to lose the fight. He just wants Perry to come over and stop him. There's even been this one time where he was speed running it because he wanted to. I think he just had other business, so he was like, "Oh, curse you, Perry the platypus," while clicking his own self-destruct button.
I mean,
Cool. So,
Well, there's
so
some
he wants
truth-
to lose then.
yeah,
He wants to lose to Perry.
but
But
I
not
mean,
to-
Larry already said that Doof already. He's not like inherently as cool with world domination as Mandark. We've seen him butt heads with other like legitimately threatening villains before in Phineas and Ferb, and he's like very clearly below their pay grade and not on the same like wavelength of intentions as they are.
Well, I think that you'd still need to use him like more in the middle of the series, because yeah, obviously, if you use him at the end of the series, why would he fight the Power Rangers?
I mean, even in the middle of a series, like the example brought up is this gonna show up. Like he worked with people like Red Skull and Venom, and they eventually just using him, and he wasn't actually.
He was like big fans of those guys, even MODOK. So he's
Yeah, but he's,
definitely
like,
still got.
As I see it, like I don't see any reason why he wouldn't just do something like these two classic scenes of she's 16 and zaps them into a different dimension. Because
The
Doof
classic
only
She's
doesn't.
16
They're all
scene.
16 though.
I refer. You know what scene I'm referring to.
But also, like, aren't they just being commissioned to make the Zords? They aren't like, are they trying to like legitimately just kill the Power Rangers? Like, what's going on?
No, it just says
I mean, I
Rita
think the
and,
goal-
and Zed are commissioning. Yeah, it just says they're commissioning them to make an evil Megazord.
Oh, I misunderstood it.
Yeah, like it's the Randock has far more experience like creating robots, even ones that's blatantly similar to the Power Rangers. Since like again he's like kept up with Dexter, who has actually like created his own Voltron before, with the sheer purpose of just like
RPG.
destroying giant monsters similar to the Power Rangers.
Now,
Not
Aqua,
sure if I would say. Yeah.
can you wholeheartedly say with your chest that Dr. Doofenshmirtz can make a more competent robot than Mandark?
I honestly, yeah.
Okay. Shit. All
He
right.
just has so much going in, like, too many innators to count. And if he's just being commissioned to make one, he'd have lots of prep time to put whatever features he wants into it. Well, yes, he's on multiple occasions used a self-destruct button. If he had help, which I'm not seeing much to say he can't get any help, they'd probably find a good way to hide that somewhere. And even then, it's a lot easier to just zap the Power Rangers into another dimension or multitudes of other things to them, as opposed to hitting a self-destruct button, which you'd still have to find. It's also
I mean,
just
well,
like
with the self-destruct thing, the Power Rangers have tech to scope out self-destruct buttons. That's not going to be much of an issue.
The Power Rangers' whole MO in fighting monsters is to look for the very blatant, obvious weak points on them.
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna have a hard time seeing the giant button with the word
Yeah.
self-destruct on them.
Look, Tommy, the self-destruct button. It must be a weak
It
spot.
must be a weak spot, yeah.
Isn't this the part where we win?
Technically, the self-destruct buttons are always very close to the machine, so they have to push it and kill themselves. The winner is
The winner.
I mean, you did. There was a lot more to say about Doof than I thought when I saw the suggestion, but right now I'm personally leaning towards Mandark.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree.
If they're just building the machines, then I can't say Doof would do that well.
Ha 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 ha.
You fought
If
well.
it were just
You
like
fought well.
just straight up fighting the Power Rangers, then it might be a different story. But if it's just like they have to fight them with an evil Megazord that Rita and Zed had commissioned them to do, then I would say Mandark.
Mm-hmm.
Ha ha ha.
Okay.
Ha, ha, ha.
So actually, next is Baroque Works versus Team Rocket. I'm going to be going for Team Rocket.
I will be going for Baroque Works.
Cool. All right. Scenario. Both are placed in New York with the goal of completely gaining full control over it, with the winner conquering the city. However, they also have to deal with Spider-Man, with the Iron Spider on hand, ready to foil their plans. Will Baroque Works turn New York into paradise, or will Team Rocket unite New York within its nation?
Okay, so the Iron Spider is involved with it. That's a lot more difficult. Okay.
The Baroque Works is first.
All right, so Baroque Works. For those that don't know what Baroque Works is the main antagonistic force for One Piece's Alabasta arc, and the whole thing is that they are a group of bounty hunters that's led by the notorious pirate Crocodile. Now, if you don't know who Crocodile is a very scheming genius. He has one of the most busted devil fruits in the series. He has a Logia type, the sand fruit, which lets him turn anything that he wants into sand. Now off the cuff, you might be thinking, well, isn't this just Sandman? But the thing is that Sandman has very blatant weaknesses that Crocodile does not have. For one, as a Logia type, as long as he turns his body into a non-corporeal element, he can't be hit except with a element of his weakness. Now, Spider-Man will obviously figure out from fighting Sandman that water is a weakness of his, but there is no core for Crocodile to destroy. Now, the thing is with this whole thing is that Spider-Man's not having to deal with just Crocodile. He's having to deal with all of the Baroque Works agents. And in that respect, there's a huge number advantage already that Baroque Works has over Team Rocket. Team Rocket releases and keeps Pokemon on a whim and dime, and none of them are particularly strong. And on top of that, Team Rocket are fucking idiots. Crocodile is a scheming genius with all of his different agents. And the whole point of Alabasta is that Crocodile absolutely won if it weren't for the fact that he did not account for two things, because there was no way for him to account for it. The whole reason his plans kind of started falling apart is that he did not know of Sanji's existence, but had plans for Nami, Zoro, and Luffy when they showed up. But he didn't have any plans for any of the Straw Hat members that they picked up along the way, which included a doctor and Sanji, who hadn't had a bounty poster at that point, and he didn't know of him. So Sanji was able to rescue the Straw Hats out of tricky situations. But he had Alabasta on lockdown. He incited an insurrection thanks to number 2, who can change his appearance on a whim to anybody that he's ever seen or touched, or just touched. Sorry. Number 1, who can change his body into steel. So that might be a good, assuming obviously stats are equalized, that number 1 being having the dice fruit is going to be a pretty good counter to the Iron Spider, since he's not going to be able to just get into his limbs. And on that respect, the Iron Spider isn't going to do much. It's not going to do well to Spider-Man anyways, when Crocodile can just turn his suit into fucking sand, and then that's GG's. Now, granted, he won't know that. Now, granted, Spider-Man is a lot more agile, but he's not going to know that that Crocodile can be able to do this, because Sandman can't really do anything like that besides crushing things into dust. Overall, if you include the millions and billions, which are a ton of fleets and bounty hunters, now he has having to deal with a Kraven the Hunter sized army attacking New York at the same time, and he's just one guy. So even if he has the Spider-Man tech around, if Crocodile just kind of stays back and plans, especially with Nico Robin, if we're including her into the equation, there's not going to really be much of a chance that Spider-Man has. And Team Rocket really only needs to fuck up once. And just if Spider-Man's able to take down like any of Team Rocket, then they're fucking finished. But Spider-Man's gonna have to be focused on Crocodile, while the rest of the Baroque agents, which are thousands of agents, are just gonna be running rampant across New York.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Team Rocket. So just for those unfamiliar with Pokemon, when I say Team Rocket, I'm not explicitly talking about Jesse, James, and Meowth. Like, those are probably who you think of first, though they are a part of it. Team Rocket is the massive underground shadow organization of the Kanto region led by Giovanni. And I think while they are thwarted by the player character, I think that's just more so because the player character is like incredibly exemplary. They accomplish quite a lot in the games if you're just looking at like what they do prior to the player coming into the picture. They basically have the Kanto region under wraps at the beginning of the game, having a secret base under the entire region, taking over one of the gym leaders, which is the whole gym association and Elite Four association are just the most powerful trainers within Kanto. And they also took over the entirety of Goldenrod City in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So they're really only thwarted by, like, yeah, they are kids, but kids so exemplary in being a Pokemon master that they're able to find Mew and Mewtwo, who are seldom shown to anyone, even, like, the greatest trainers in the world. We're able to, like, find Ho-Oh and Lugia and all those, like Red and Gold. Not to mention, Team Rocket also... I know I'm going to exclude the legendaries they have, just because that having Mewtwo would be kind of unfair. But they were able to create an alliance with the other regional teams in Rainbow Rocket that kind of shows their influence. And those people on paper are definitely above their visual pay grade. You got like Team Magma and Aqua, who are trying to cause like a world-threatening disaster, or Team Galactic, who is trying to dismantle the entire universe. But that's more so just like to show that Team Rocket are on a relatively even footing. They also have hundreds and dozens of trainers and criminals who, if you look at media outside of just the games, they've got a ton of interesting tech outside of... Because Jesse and James themselves, they do have some pretty interesting, like, giant machines. They have a bunch of... they just have swarms and droves of giant robots that they could use. But they're relatively some of the weaker members, like... I think Cassidy and Butch are just Jesse and James, but infinitely better. And then there's people like the Dark Mask Marauder from the Pokemon in 2001, who had the Dark Shadow Pokeballs, which could catch pretty much just anything and then mentally reprogram them, like he does that with Tyranitar. But to speak on like the actual Pokemon that they'd be able to use in just to try and defeat Spider-Man, which is the real bulk of this, they are relatively, like, the weaker Pokemon, like your Rattatas and your Ekans and all that, but they come in such large droves that I think if they were to swarm attack all at once, kind of like how they captured some of the legendary Pokemon in the anime, it would be overwhelming for Peter. Some, like, really exemplary attacks or things that he'll have to look out for. There's Pokemon... Well, Rattata alone has attacks like Hyper Fang, which can cut your health in half. That's more so just a gameplay mechanic. Modern generations give Wheezing, which is one of the most common Pokemon, or Coughing, one of the most common Pokemon. They have the ability Neutralizing Gas, which is able to work on things like Keen-Eye, Inner Focus, and No Guard. So I have no reason to believe it wouldn't be able to work on the Spider Sense to, like, overwhelm Peter's senses that way. A big one that I saw some of the scientists have, albeit more sparsely, is Ditto. And Peter has a long, decorated history at being terrible at fighting symbiote-like creatures that can replicate his abilities. So if we have a Venom situation with Ditto, especially with the Iron Spider that can copy upgrades like Mega Evolution... I don't think it can copy... No, it can't copy GMAX or Terrasilize, but it can copy robotic things as well. Just having to do a mirror match, basically, while juggling all the other Pokemon would be incredibly difficult for him to do. Yeah, I just think they're a lot more coordinated than... Not than Baroque works, but I think they're as coordinated as them. They have similar numbers. They have a lot of strange and odd abilities. I feel like just the hundreds and hundreds of Team Rocket grunts coming in with multiple Pokemon with different strategies and different angles would be just very tricky. And I can just see that type of numbers, that type of group of animals numbers being enough to take over a hostile city, at least compared to Baroque work, which I imagine being a little smaller if it's just a bunch of guys, albeit with powers. But I think Spider-Man, I think they're a lot more tangible for Spider-Man to figure out than a bunch of Pokemon which play by a very different set of rules.
Okay.
Fair, that's fair. If we're talking about like Giovanni's
Good.
Team Rocket, then I feel it's a lot closer because Giovanni's Team Rocket is just well more coordinated than just Jesse James and Meowth.
Yeah.
However, the thing is that Baroque Works has thousands of members. It's a group of like over 2,000 bounty hunters. And the thing is that their officer agents are the one with powers. And the main thing that's going to really help them out here is the fact that they did take over Alabasta. Like, they absolutely succeeded. The only thing that failed was just that Crocodile's like one contingency that he didn't plan for and would have no knowledge of didn't work out. But if he has knowledge of New York City and can prep in time for Spider-Man, then there's not going to be really any reason why he isn't able to restrain him. For one, Galdino's candles or wax power is able to like block a ton of absurd attacks from people that compare to strength like Whitebeard, who can destroy the world and all that stuff. So being able to just restrain Peter just right away, and then having Mikitaka like crush him with like 10,000 kilograms of force, it's just going to kill him right off the bat.
Right.
It really depends on how well they coordinate themselves. Obviously, Spider-Man can defeat them and they'll whittle down their forces, but the same can be said with Team Rocket. They'll be well less coordinated if Spider-Man's routinely taking out their trainers, which is a more glaring weak spot for any Pokemon trainer than it is for like, oh, here's a Baroque agent, I have to defeat them, even though they have like a superpower. But even if I defeat them, I have like the other of the 2,000 to worry about, and the other like 15 Devil Fruit users to have to deal with, all of which has like absurd superpowers.
Right. I think the thing about giving Baroque Works prep time, though, is that it would really only be fair to give Team Rocket the same kind of prep time, though. And in that case,
Of course.
we've seen in the games that like Team Rocket has like an entire black market of like selling Pokemon to trainers who have the money for it. So
Baroque Works, Crocodile led the black market in One Piece until he got defeated.
Yeah, I don't know how
But
comparable Alabasta
Or not
is
even
to...
that was Doflamingo, but Crocodile had a big hand in it.
Right, but what I'm saying is like with that black market of Pokemon that they would not just have access to but control, as well as like what Brandon mentioned with like how they've been able to use tactics to capture legendary Pokemon in the past. If they get prep time, they'd be able to amass like a team full of super powerful, fully evolved Pokemon, as well as legendaries and mythicals, probably.
Well,
to attack Peter with as well.
I'm debating for Team Rocket, but I'll say like they did have ample time when they took over Kanto and Johto, and they still kind of just ran in with Irritatas, Ekans, Muck, Hypno, stuff like that. I don't think they'll explicitly use legendary Pokemon, especially not Mewtwo, who is in strict defiance with Team Rocket. But I do just think like in a similar
They need
vein
like
to
really powerful trainers to.
in a similar
Like, the
vein
thing is
to
with
how Peter, like having the trainers be a very blatant weak spot for Peter to attack. If Peter realizes that they're just kind of abusing and controlling wild animals, I think that'd make him a little more hesitant to fight the Pokemon. Whereas Baroque Works, those are just straight criminals. I think there wouldn't be as much problem with him just like laying waste to them.
Yeah, as far as like a city overrun with like grunts, some that have like powers goes, like that's basically the end game plot of both PlayStation Spider-Man games. And while Peter still had difficulty dealing with those, he was able to pull through in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but with the PlayStation Spider-Man games, he did have substantial help from like a ton of people.
Yeah.
Also,
But even then, that's not really much of a point. But
you know,
on the
this is
thing
the
with,
comic.
like,
Peter's gonna get knocked down and get back up. I think honestly, both are capable of doing it, but it's more so just a question to me of like who owes glaring weaknesses offer the chance of failure more often than
The thing
not.
is that Baroque Works was taken out by someone who already knew of what Crocodile's intentions were for Alabasta. Crocodile's like one contingency and not knowing who the fuck Sanji was. And the contingency with like VV or any of like the royals being able to infiltrate and get information on Baroque Works, Crocodile had already sniffed them out and was ready to kill them had Luffy not saved them at the last minute. So like the glaring weak spot would just be to infiltrate it from the inside, but that's not something that Spider-Man's going to be afforded to do in this case.
I will say Team Rocket, the main way they're beaten is just kind of brute forcing your way through all of them, but also you do or just Gold and Silver, they are enough of a problem where Lance feels the need to step in and basically help Gold figure it out. I struggle to believe Spider-Man would be able to do it on his own, especially not abiding to the rules of Pokemon where you've got a team of 6 and you could heal and you've got prep time between. If it's just one guy being swarmed by a bunch of Pokemon that could either cut your health in half, status condition the hell out of you, transform into you with Ditto, hypnotize you with Hypno, I really don't. I think it's a tall order for just Spider-Man alone.
I mean, there is like hypnotism stuff in Baroque's work sites with Miss Golden Week, who just has paint powers, which does the exact same things. It can get hypnotize and manipulate your emotions in several different ways, to the point where she can create paint splotches that force Spider-Man to attack certain areas that he does not want to attack at all. And she's just a little kid, so I'm not sure if Spider-Man's gonna want to go all out on her.
If it became a like head-to-head of the two teams taking on each other, if you say they have like hundreds of or like thousands of different soldiers,
they have over 2,000 members.
Okay,
now. A lot of them are grunts, but there are like a good number. Like a lot of them are just well-trained bounty hunters.
I still feel like a Pokemon would probably be able to take out a few dozen on their own.
Yeah, a Pokemon probably could be able to take out the Baroque members, but that's also like, this is Spider-Man's having to deal with him, not Giovanni. Yep.
So, question: what's stopping Peter from just targeting the trainers? Like,
that's really the hang up on my side. It's like once the trainers get taken out, like they do kind of become more feral. It really, a lot of that's what has to give. Yeah, a lot of Team Rocket's equipment is meant for catching Pokemon.
Yeah.
So like the Shadow Pokeballs or the giant mechs would be. There's not going to be a lot of like ways to refill their resources in New York City.
Yeah.
He's
I
Master
don't think Peter
needs centers around.
Now the main thing is that even if things like were to go really bad, there is one thing that Crocodile absolutely could do, which would absolutely fuck Peter up. He could just nuke New York, and he has no issue doing that. He was going to nuke Alabasta, and it put them in a really horrible position of, do we stop Crocodile and kill all these people, or do we stop the bomb?
But sand nuke,
successfully
right?
did his. Yep. Not the sand nuke. It was just like an actual fucking bomb.
Yeah, what if Wobbuffet uses Mirror Coat?
If he yeah, that's a great. I think like once that nuke comes into play, and then Peter's having to decide on fighting the rest of the Baroque Works or saving New York, he would absolutely sacrifice himself. And at that point, Crocodile's won.
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounds like both would do it. It's just that
it's just
Pokemon has more glaring issues.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I give it to Baroque.
It's really just the fact that he could just take out the trainers and make dealing with the Pokemon a lot easier. That's kind of.
I think it doesn't help that like Giovanni is I can't speak for Crocodile, but it doesn't help that Giovanni is a genuinely compassionate person towards his men. Like even no matter how much Jesse and James and Meowth fail, he still gives them a chance. He does genuinely care about the grunts in Team Rocket. I don't know how expendable Crocodile's men are to him.
Crocodile likes the numbered agents. Well, he likes 2, 1, and Robin, but he doesn't care about the rest. They could die for all he cares.
Well, all right.
Well, yeah, I'll give it to Baroque Works.
And also, that's like, and given like where we're at the story right now, Crocodile also might have hockey now, so that is another layer
Great.
on top of everything. So,
Well, that is actually the
Yeah.
hour mark
a very
for this
interesting
recording, but
Yeah.
I assume
And
the
Rocket's blasting off again.
Royale really took up a lot of time, but that was fun. Yeah, I hope we can get to more of
Yeah.
these in the new
Yeah.
year. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thanks for
See
watching,
ya.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.